You ready, Joan?
I'm ready.
All right, can you, we'll open the meeting at 6:30 here. Can you read the meeting notice and agenda, please?
I will. Notice is hereby given that the Village of Homer Zoning Board of Appeals will meet in person at the Town Hall in Homer, 31 North Main Street on March 24th at 6:30 PM to consider the following pursuant to the current Village of Homer Code of Ordinances. Appeal number 492, applicant / property owner, Family Health Network, property address 85 Southwest Street, tax map number 76.32-01-06.000, zoning district B3, code reference Article 2, 228-23. Variance requested, variance to allow for new signage on Route 281. Appeal number 493, applicant, property owner Stephanie and Anthony Baldwin, property address 1 King Street, tax map number 66.73-01-06.000, zoning district B3, code reference Article 3, 70-5, parens, capital A and B, close parens. Variance requested, a variance to allow parking for a tow-behind camper on a driveway in front of a house. The above applications are open to inspection at the village offices. We encourage you to email, call 607-749-3322, or mail all of your communication needs before said ZBA meeting. Tanya DeGenero, Village Treasurer. Been placed on file for the record and published as required.
All right, is anybody here for the Family Health Network?
Yeah.
Flag, or work there, either one.
Okay. Ted Dobbs, Victory sign.
What's the name, please?
My name,
Yeah, state your name and-
Ted Dobbs.
Ted Dobbs.
And also Joe Sokol with Family Health Network.
Or Joe.
All right, can you explain what you requested, what you were requesting, please?
Requesting permission to construct a new sign at the current location of, what's the address, sir?
85 Southwest Street.
85 Southwest Street.
We'd like to put up a new LED sign similar to what we have at our Portlandville location down at 4038 West Road. Just so that we can communicate to the public where we're having vaccine clinics, testing, things like that. We have 5 health centers, 4 in Cortland County, and it just would help the public know what's where.
Excuse me, has your application for a sign permit been denied by the zoning officer?
Excuse me, they have the floor. We ask the questions later.
Okay,
So that's the gist of it.
All right. So you requesting the sign report in front of the one on 280, yeah, 281, right?
Yes.
All right, now any questions?
yes. Okay, and my understanding, being new here and having, I understand the best that's we've got of the codes. So if it's not up to date, this is all I have. But that 228-23 talks about new districts and signs need to be the same as an R1. And putting aside whether there's a new zoning district, the 228-20 is the regulations for signs for an R1. And that says, as I read it, that the no sign is going to be erected, altered, relocated without a permit that is issued by the code enforcement officer. Okay. And the application is made in writing by the owner to the code enforcement officer. And the code enforcement officer has 30 days, blah, blah. And it only comes before the ZBA if the code enforcement officer has either not dealt with it within the 30 days or has denied it. So my question is, has the code enforcement officer denied it or just not dealt with it? I'm looking for why you're here.
We just applied and we're told to come here.
Right, we're here to get a variance because obviously the property falls under a unique situation.
No, I understand all that, but I'm saying that you're making the
I believe-
application to the wrong body then.
I believe those processes have already happened.
Okay,
And I
then I'd like to
do
see
not-
the
I don't-
denial.
That's something I do
Okay.
not have.
All right, then in order,
Physically.
I think for us to deliberate on it, we need to see that code enforcement
Right.
officer's denial to understand why it was denied. And then what are we looking for an exception to?
I'm positive denial was based on the fact that it goes, again, goes to the R1. Of course, gonna obviously go to the zoning board. I see what you're saying,
Right.
the clerical side. of it.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm
Right,
trying to
right.
sort of get this, my ducks in order and
I
understand
understand,
what I'm supposed to be
I get it.
looking at.
I get it.
So what I see here is the code enforcement officer is the one who makes this decision. We don't.
Right. And I didn't include that denial with me. We probably didn't want to bring the negative information with us or anything like that. So, but we're here to, again, get the zoning board of appeals ruling on, based on that denial,
Okay.
which I believe is,
I-
you're saying you're looking
In
for
my
a
view, I'd
physical
like to, I
document.
need
You're looking for
to
a
see,
physical
well, I need to
document.
understand why it was denied.
The code officer is on, so maybe direct your questions to the code officer and see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you hear all that?
I don't see his name there, so.
Yeah, the original application was denied because it does not conform to the sign regulations for residential district.
That process went through. On his end.
So it's not conforming. It doesn't conform.
Correct. And the village doesn't have an actual signage reg for B3 zones where they're at.
Is the building permit application contingent on approval of the sign?
That is correct.
Kevin, what's the non-conforming portion of the sign?
So the non-conforming portion, the way the local laws were written, when the sign laws were written back in the day, there was no such thing as I believe it's research and development, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, B3 district. There was no such district. So the local law at the time said any forthcoming districts to be created after the enactment of the law need to refer back to sign law for R1 district. Therefore, the sign that's proposed by Family Health does not conform to the R1 signage requirements and therefore has to go for a variance in order to be given permission.
Okay, thanks.
Is there a reason we have a site plan review application?
Is there not an application for zoning board?
No,
Yeah,
just the site plan review, which goes to the planning board.
there was submitted an application for the zoning board. That has the wrong variance on it, but there was submitted.
We have we have Kevin's referral form, but we don't have the applicant's application. The forms are really different. This is this one.
Question for you, or maybe Dante, but you had mentioned that this is under review because it doesn't conform to an R1 zoning in the code. But even for the business code, I'm not seeing where a changing LED light has been addressed by the zoning code. Is there somewhere where I'm not seeing that? And if this was considered a business district, would there be? It doesn't seem to me that that's already been addressed in the zoning code.
Saying is because there's no law for variance.
So it's not just that it's considered an R1, it's that it's this style of sign has not been addressed.
It's too big.
Kevin, could you hear that?
Yes, I did. The only thing that I could find with regard to the history of signage versus LEDs in the village had to do with the minutes that were copied from quite a while back. Dan had just scanned and copied those over this afternoon, having to do with the church sign on the green. The lighting distinctions in the old code that we're dealing with currently obviously precedes any LED lighting. So there are no LED requirements, restrictions, or any kind of definition in our local law right now, which is part of the reason that it's in front of the ZBA. There's only just the one other situation where, if memory serves me correct, it was granted for the church with some specific criteria that they had to follow.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. That is a little clarification for me. It's not just that it's in an R1 district, it's that there are some other questions. So sorry, I don't remember your names in the room there, but you said this sign is meant to be like your other one further down south on 281. Is the intention that this sign would probably change throughout the day? It would show different messages at different times?
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me. Did you find the application?
I looked at the original packet. I don't see it in there.
So if we don't have an application, then we're not acting on anything. Because the ZBA application is very specific, what kind of a variance you're looking for and what you need to write down for it. It's a very different application than a site plan review application. And so if we don't have an application, we can't do anything.
I'll let the chairman and the code officer speak to that.
It's like,
You hear that, Tim?
I can't hear you, no.
Gotta speak up.
yes, I'm looking for the application so I know what question we are looking to. And since there's no application, then there's no question for us to answer at the moment until we have the appropriate application. What we have is a site plan review application, which is very different, and that goes to the planning board. And so the question, there is no ZBA application, and if it's a question for, a policy question for whether the village can have these types of signs, that's not a variance question. That really is a village board or a planning board policy question of whether they want those kinds of signs in village at all. That's not up to us.
Well, my comment's gonna be, and I don't know if this is the right place to say it, but I kind of a little bit talked to Kevin real fast. Due to other circumstance, I didn't think I was gonna be here today, so I didn't get into it as good, and there was some stuff delivered today. But my recommendation would be to table this for at least 30 days, so everybody gets together and gets everything we need and study it and get you guys over there. Like I said, I'm like Adam, I can't remember your names, but if we're missing something, if we table for 30 days, it'll give you time to meet with Kevin and figure out what we need to get this going. That would be my recommendation as a chairperson, and that way we can look into, like I said, I got that thing that Dan did, and I thank you very much, Dan, for looking into that today. But on my cell phone, I can only get it so it's real small, and I'm 62 years old and I can't read it. So I didn't have a chance to read it today for the one at the church. And I can remember all the riffraff that went through there. And I was kind of talking to Kevin a little bit about it before I had to go to work. And I got busy at work, so I couldn't even review some of the stuff here. So I don't know if we need to go out of, my opinion, my suggestion would be go out of the public hearing, make a motion to table this for 30 days. So you guys get your stuff together, and then we can get our stuff together, then come back next month and get this set, one way or the other, and figure out the zoning district and all that stuff and all this, what we need for a proper sign to be there.
Do we need a motion for that? Because if you do, I'll make the motion.
Before we do that, can we request anything prior to 30 days? Because I know they're looking forward, this is, again, is information. This is medical, this is COVID, this is information. And I just want to make sure that the board and everyone here realizes that it's vital to their, there is a hardship here. It is vital to them to get their information out. We're dealing in a different world. They need this out to the public. Okay, it is vital.
There
So
are other
that's
ways to
my
get
only
that
request.
information out. I mean,
There
that
is-
sign's not the
Well,
only way.
it's not the only way, but it is the best way. And that's why you see
That's
them-
your opinion.
Well, that's-
I mean,
Hey, whoa, time out. We're not here to argue.
I totally agree. I'm just asking if we can do sooner than that, that's all.
Well,
Excuse me,
Yes,
you are in your public hearing.
yeah,
That's when they do the presentation, you ask your question. Go out of your public hearing if you're done. There's nobody else to comment, and then do your discussion and make your decision.
Thank you, Joan.
Mhm.
No, it's for the board
okay, all right.
procedure.
so Pat, you gonna make the motion to go out of executive session or not? Yeah, executive session. Public
The chairman does that.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we go out of the public hearing
It's not a motion,
or to go out.
just closing the public hearing.
I'd like to close the public hearing at this time.
Joan, is this where we discuss as a board some of the questions here? We can speak.
It's where you do your discussion and make a decision.
Okay, so guys, I did have a chance to look through the 2010, 2011 about the Village Green sign discussion. And just some of the highlights from that one is that, action number 9 from 2010, I'll read it directly from the notes here. It says, at the conclusion of an extensive discussion, a motion was made by member Atkins that the Village of Homer Zoning Board of Appeals has determined that a sign with a moving pattern of illumination that changes the message regardless of the duration is a prohibited sign. The motion was seconded by member Lanning, with the vote being recorded as follows. It was unanimous. So that was a prior ruling by a zoning board. And later in November of that year, they did end up approving that sign, but the conditions were that because it wasn't a residential, or I don't think it had anything to do with residential area. The conditions were that it wasn't illuminated from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and that the message would only be changed overnight during that time. So it wasn't a changing sign during the day. So it's just, that's some of the precedents that was set by a previous zoning board on a sign like this. We can,
Tim, is Dante part of the meeting tonight?
I'm sorry?
Is Dante in the meeting?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm here, Kevin. You got a question?
Well, I just wanted to clarify a statement made earlier by one of the board members claiming that it was a board of trustees decision, when in fact it still should be viewed as a variance because there is sign law within the village. And there is a sign law specific to that property, which to me makes it a variance, not something that the trustees need to hear.
Can I move?
Correct. The zoning board of appeals does have jurisdiction to consider, area variances and use variances. There is a policy component to this because our code is obviously not updated and doesn't really foresee LED lights, but the actual appeal, if properly presented, et cetera, would be something for the zoning board of appeals to consider. Correct, Kevin? So yes, I agree with you.
Can I make a motion that we adjourn this or table this question till the next meeting so that we can get all the appropriate applications and paperwork and we can all be dealing with the same information?
The wording I prefer is postpone, because then you don't have to have a vote to bring it back to the table.
Okay, postpone. You got it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Are you Dan?
I am. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Good, I've never met you before.
Well, COVID's done that to us.
I love those, I love Zoom. Okay, you have a motion and a second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I can't see Jones. I believe it's 4 ayes.
Yes, it's unanimous.
Okay. So let's, get all the proper paperwork done and then we'll bring this back and discuss it. Okay, the appeal, where are we here? The appeal for I don't have the number in front of me here. What are the appeal numbers?
493.
Thank you, Joan. Like I said, it's not on my paper in front of me. Sorry, it just says appeal and no number.
That's right. That's what it says.
Is it anybody here from them?
Yeah, they are.
Hi, Stephanie Baldwin from 1 King Street in Homer.
Anthony Baldwin, 1 King Street, Homer.
Explanation.
So we are looking to see if we could have a variance to please keep our camper parked in our driveway or on our property. We bought our home in the village about 7 years ago. We started off tent camping. We went to a pop-up, to a bigger camper, to the one that we have now. So we've had a camper on our property for the last 6+ years. We apologize. We didn't realize that it was against any of the village code. To have that, we use our camper regularly. We have 10 trips that are already booked and planned for this year, and we're planning on scheduling 6 or 7 more once we get the Homer football schedule in the fall and find out what our friends are doing. We love traveling with it. It gives the boys an opportunity to see different things and go to new places. We are, as of last year, we did ask to be seasonal campers at a couple of our favorite campsites. But with COVID, the lists are a little bit longer. So we keep calling and saying, hey, can we be seasonals? One is Yogi Bear in Mexico. They have no openings. The other one is Pine Cradle in Pennsylvania, which is one of our favorites. But there's no openings. So we're just asking permission to keep our camper where it is for now, please. And once a seasonal site is available at one of the ones we're on the list for, then we will move to a seasonal site. That's okay.
All right, any questions from any board member?
Yes, I have before me the referral form from the code enforcement officer saying the applicant requests a use variance. And again, I have the application to the ZBA that says it's a special use permit. And when I look at Article Section 70-5A and B, it is not a special use permit request. It should be the use variance request. But the data for the use variance isn't filled in on the application that I have before me.
That's not correct. This is more akin to bulk regulations. So it would be considered a type of area variance where you would go through the balancing test. There is a special permit where they can appeal directly to the Board of Appeals. But it's not a use variance because it does specifically give you an
Kevin
appeal
has
right.
here that it should be. So I'm just going with what I've got in front of me. So Kevin says it's referred to us as a use variance, but the application isn't for that.
I had a discussion with Dante after the form was filled out and a couple other village and town attorneys. It's kind of a gray area, but it makes the most sense to, as Dante just stated, put this into an area variance because it has to do with where the camper is parked. So that one was filled out incorrectly.
Can I ask, is this the accurate map of the property that we have?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why can you not try and park your camper on all the rest of your property?
We are fine to do that if we would be allowed.
We're fine to do that. I mean, I guess in conversations with Kevin, what's come up is the hung of the camper cannot exceed the front of the house is the way that the code was written. I mean, I'm more than happy to put it in our backyard, but that opened the other portion of the discussion of needing a second driveway to get there and it being against code of it having just sitting in our yard. So I guess one way or the other, I mean, whether it's in our driveway or in our yard, we're kind of at your liberty, but
The code is that it can't be in front of the house. So if you put it anywhere else, you need to talk to us. It's permitted.
You can't park on a lawn, you can't park it on a yard.
Well, it can be anywhere, it can't be
A registered vehicle can't.
in the
be
front
parked
yard or the side yard, but the vehicle can be stored, it can't extend beyond the front building. In the event an individual is unable to meet those requirements, they have to apply and they can store the vehicle on the side yard, but in no case may it extend beyond the front of the building line. And that appeal should be done at a public hearing. So it seems to me that if you can put it behind your house somewhere, you don't need to talk to us.
I have a trick question and I'd like to have, it could either be answered by Dante or Kevin. I believe the correct address is 1 King Street. Can you guys please answer that?
Yes.
The camper is parked on Durkee Ave. So what is the front of your house?
Jerky.
the front of our house is on Durkee, but the physical address is King Street.
So I'm going to ask a question again. If the front your address is 1 King Street, I would think that would be the front. My opinion would be that'd be the front of your house with Durkee being a side yard. Can one of you two, Kevin or Dante, answer that if it's way wacky or?
Yeah. No, it is wacky, Tim. Let me help you out. When you have a corner lot, when it comes to zoning and setbacks, and a house is sitting on the corner of 2 streets, it has 2 front yards and 2 side yards, and no rear yard with regard to zoning and setbacks.
Okay. I'm just asking the question. I didn't know the answer. I really, in part B of this would be to them. When I drove by this morning, one of the complaints we have is that little blue Toyota. You park it, I'm going to assume then it'd be parked in front of the camper. When I drove out to the stop sign, I personally didn't have a vision looking to the south. The issue you have where you're parking the car is you are parked on a sidewalk. I don't know if you realize that or not, but that car is actually parked on a sidewalk. So that, you know what I'm saying? So my question to you do you have to park that blue car there?
At this current time, we would need to, yes. We actually had another vehicle that we've since gotten rid of. We've swapped 2 vehicles and got an additional vehicle to make the vehicle parking in the driveway work and no longer have a vehicle parked on our lawn. That particular sidewalk you're speaking of does dead end on our property.
I'm not going to argue that, but the problem you got to understand I'm going to have is it comes down King, across your driveway, across your lawn. So it technically is in the village sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? So now I have to look at the law that you are parked on the sidewalk. And that's why I have to ask the question. If you have to, if you're going to continue parking the car there, obviously that's not my problem. That's a different issue, but that's the problem I see right now.
Okay. In a previous conversation with the village police, when they came out to kind of inform us of the situation, they didn't seem to have an issue with it. So I don't know if that's something that needs to go to them as well, or if it's separate or the same thing. I don't know how that would work.
It looks to me that because of the irregular configuration of your property, you clearly have an area that is not a front yard or a side yard on King or Durkee. You've got this whole section back here that you wouldn't be out of compliance with anything.
Even with parking a registered vehicle on the lawn.
I don't think you can.
It says back here for storage, it talks about a boat, a camper trailer, motorhome trailer, or recreation vehicle. So those are all okay. I don't know about some other vehicle, but you're only talking here about a camper, as I understand it. So a camper is exactly what this addresses.
Tim, what do you say about that? Are you allowed to park a registered vehicle on a lawn in the village of Homer? I didn't think you were.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, do you know?
Like I said, I jumped in the ball game late here and I apologize for that. And
Kevin, what about you?
But when I call the Homer PD, there is a law that you can't do that. But if they've already, I can't speak for them. If they went and talked to the Homer PD, that's not ZBA's problem where they're parking their car. That's a Homer PD law. When we have a complaint here or a letter written to us, we have to look at the letter too. So when I went and looked at that, that's what I observed when I went by the house. That's why I asked the question. If that car can be parked behind that white car, I see no problem with it.
We're not talking about a car, we're talking about a camper.
I understand that, but the point was where their camper is parked, if they have to park that car there, then we got to do something about that, because if that I care less about the car's got to be moved one way or the other. If we give them permission to park that camper there and they continue to park the car there, we defeated our purpose of what we're doing here.
Hey, Dante.
Let me try that again. Yeah, sorry. I keep getting the you're muted notification. Yes, Kevin.
You pointed out to me there's a specific camper regulations in the
Yeah, it's like
zoning.
70 -6 or -4 or something.
I
Correct.
don't have book in front of me, but does it say anything? Does it prohibit having campers parked off from a driveway and on the lawn?
Yeah, let me read it to you because it'd probably be helpful for the board too. It says no boat, camper, camper trailer, motorhome, trailer, or other recreational vehicle shall be stored in any front yard or side yard within any residential zone. Said vehicle may be stored in the driveway in a residential zone, but said vehicle may not extend beyond the front building line of the premises, nor may it protrude into the side yard setback requirements as set forth in any applicable legislation of the village.
So
And
because of
That's the
the,
whole paragraph.
yeah, because of the configuration of their house and having 2 front yards and 2 side yards, I guess then the issue would be to see if they could be granted what you're considering an area variance to be able to park it on their side yard, which would be otherwise not allowed, correct?
No, but that's not necessary because they do have an area that is neither side on either street nor in front of the house. They have an odd extension that goes off at an angle. So it's not,
Yeah, but
it would not,
what
it would
Kevin's-
be a let's see, it would be a self-created difficulty if they did not use that property.
Again, I don't have the map in front of me, so it's, all I can tell you is the way it's supposed, the way that the boundary lines are considered on a corner lot.
Right, but this goes, this is an I don't know, is there a camera here? This is an L-shaped lot. So it has the
Right,
street
but
front
it's
on
still
both
a
sides.
corner.
No, but this, they have this area here that does not face any street.
Right, but it's still a corner lot.
Right, so they
It's
can't
one
park
lot.
here and you can't park here, but you can park here. What Dante said is that this is considered the front, this is considered the front, this is considered a
If you're in
side.
on a corner lot, but
Right.
on a corner lot, there's only a side and a front.
Right, but back here,
That's still
There's-
side.
Anthony, can I
Yeah.
ask you, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because on your map here, where it's got a pit, it says trailer, then behind the trailer, and it looks like it goes back by the house, it says driveway. Is that not usable?
There's a covered carport that is there.
The reason I'm asking, I just can't picture, I went by it, but I just can't, I don't remember, so I'm sorry.
So from where the camper sits in the driveway,
Yep.
directly behind it is a covered carport that is paved. That obviously the camper does not fit underneath.
Well, I just saw it written there. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, if that wasn't there, I'd be able to back it up another 10, 12 feet and it wouldn't be an issue.
So you know where I was going then.
I do.
Thank you.
And there's some pipes out there too, I think, that are village, whatever, so we don't want to risk backing it up there and running something over. That's
Okay,
not-
okay, thanks. Any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing. Discussion from the board.
So guys, there is the next section in the zoning book. It's under section 70-5.
Tim?
B.
Yes,
Sorry, this is Adam, Joan.
Yeah, but before he closes the public hearing, he has 2 comments in writing that he's received that need to be acknowledged.
Oh, that's where we put those in the record? Yeah.
Yes, they're part of the public hearing.
okay, I
So
I
Tim, we
have
got an
one.
email-
What's that?
Tim, we got an email that had 2 attachments in it, and it was, there are neighbors that were writing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't
against-
see those.
It's okay. It's just, there's 2 neighbors that are writing against the application. So
And the one of them is not, I don't want to mention any names, I guess.
Well,
Okay.
For the public
It
record.
should,
it's,
it should be. Do you want them read?
Yeah, because I only have one, so.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
read them. I've got them in front of me. Or do you want to read them, Joan? Do you have them?
I have both of them.
All right, let's leave it to the professionals here.
The first communication is from Charles Jeremy. He says, "Dear Village of Homer ZBA members, with the exception of several summer weekends, Stephanie and Anthony Baldwin have stored their very large recreational vehicle in the driveway of their 1 King Street residence for the past year in violation of a village ordinance. Afternoons, evenings, and weekends, when 3 motor vehicles are also routinely parked in that driveway, it is essentially impossible for a motorist or bicyclist stopped at the adjacent King Street stop sign to see any vehicles traveling north on Durkee Avenue without entering the intersection. During these time periods, it should be noted that at least one of the 3 vehicles is parked east of the end of the RV so as to block illegally the Durkee Street sidewalk. Many evenings, there has been a 4th vehicle parked on the Durkee Street sidewalk and the road verge, also blocking the sidewalk and effectively obscuring completely a motorist on King Street's view to the south or a Durkee Street motorist view of King Street to the west. Parentheses, the Baldwins have also been plowing their front yard this winter and consistently parking a vehicle there because one side of the driveway has not been available because of the RV presence. We are writing to express respectfully our opposition to the request for a variance to allow parking for a tow-behind camper on a driveway in front of a house. Appeal number 493. We believe that granting this variance will allow this recreational vehicle to be a permanent and dangerous visual obstruction in that area. Sincerely, the Jeremy family. This was dated Monday, March 21st. The second communication we received is dated March 15th and said, "Dear zoning board members, we are responding to the notice we received regarding a variance to allow parking of a tow-behind camper on a driveway in front of a home located at 1 King Street, Homer, New York. Appeal number 493. We strongly object to this variance for several reasons. It is a hazard when rounding the corner from King Street onto Durkee Street. It doesn't matter if you are turning left or right. It is very difficult to see around the vehicles that block the sidewalk on that corner. Per Village Code Book, Chapter 70, under boats, recreational vehicles, subsection 70-5, storage, letter A, it states that the said vehicle may not extend beyond the front building line of the premises. This clearly extends past the front building line. It is an eyesore. This isn't a small pop-up camper. It is a large tow-behind, as they continue to purchase larger campers year after year. It will eventually, friends, as it pretty much does now, close friends, take up one whole side of their double driveway and leave no parking for the many vehicles that reside there. This has and will create more vehicles of the residents to park on the lawn. Thank you for taking the time to take this information into factor when making your decision. Sincerely, signed the Reeds, 8 King Street, Homer, New York. And they have been read into the record.
Thank you.
Now you can close your public hearing.
All right, now I'd like to close the public hearing. Discussion from the board.
Yes, in regard to our referral from the code enforcement officer of 70-5 A and B, Dante read A. But B says, in the event that an individual is unable to meet the requirements above, which in fact is not the case, he or she or they must apply to the zoning board of appeals for permission to store said vehicle in the side yard of the premises, but in no case may it extend beyond the front building line of the premises. So you can appeal for the side, but never for the, beyond the front. The appeal should be done at a public hearing, and it's incumbent to show the inability to store it any other way but on the side. And my understanding is, as Dante told us, the corner part of that property, both streets are considered front and side, so that the street facing parts of that property don't qualify in either case to have this camper parked. But there is a back section that would be appropriate and would not be a hardship that the applicant is causing at all. And therefore, that should be the appropriate place for them to park this camper. And otherwise, we are dealing with a self-created hardship, which I don't see the need to do or any opening for us to actually approve it.
So Pam, I don't know the exact measurements of the camper on the side of the house, but it actually seems as though that camper would violate that provision that, how was it worded? But in no case may it extend beyond the front building line of the premise. So I think even if they were to kind of put it kind of parallel to King Street, I don't know what we're calling that, the side of the house. I think that it would extend, it still would extend beyond the building.
Well, Adam, I think if you put it to the south of the house, where the L shape of the lot is, you could park it far enough back that it wouldn't extend past the front of the house. Because there's 67 feet from that corner going back towards 281 that they own, that they could park it back there and it wouldn't extend past the front of the house.
I think I only see 13 feet there,
The
Dan.
survey they gave us today, Adam?
Yep, yeah, I'm looking, so that's like it's on, yeah, I'm looking at a map here. It's, you're saying, so park between the house and that shed on the map is where.
No.
Just, so if you're looking at that map, or the survey, and if you look south of the house where the site jaunts back towards 281, you see that, where the L is, the lower part of the L?
Oh,
L?
I see, yep.
They could park it back in there and it wouldn't, it wouldn't go in front of the home.
Yep, I see your point there.
So I mean, if we wanted to, I think we could approve them to be able to park it there, but they can't continue to park it in their driveway. That's what the problem is.
Yeah. I think I can read it the same way there. Well, I want to take another look at the objections from the neighbors. I think it mostly was around it being in the driveway and blocking that corner intersection.
That seems to be the problem with both people, is the visibility from that turn for oncoming traffic.
Basically, it's not the camper they're complaining about. It's
Oh,
the car
it's the
parked in
car
front of it.
Yeah.
Well,
They're saying the camper's an eyesore, but there's campers parked all over the village. They're just complaining about the car parked in front of it. And that was the question I asked, if they could park that blue car somewhere else.
I think even the camper is kind of, it's very close to at least blocking that stop sign. I don't know if you guys saw the pictures that were sent out I don't know who took them this morning, but the end of that camper is essentially parallel with the stop sign coming off of King Street onto Durkee. So
I'm gonna go on my construction vision here, and I said, I'll bet you got 10 to 15 feet from that end of that camper to that stop sign. If you can't see 10 feet down the road, then you should be handing your driver's license.
well,
No, that
I mean,
has
just
nothing to do with this, but
yeah,
when
Tim, but you're
I
supposed-
went there today, the very end of the car was not even to the stop sign. In where I stopped at the stop sign where you legally have to stop, you could see pretty good there. The only concern I had with that whole thing was the tail of the car, the bump of the car was parked right in the middle of the sidewalk, which I know is against the law. But that's not for us to say. That's another issue beyond us. And I agree with you, and it's just, I think there's enough room there, but I also agree with what Dan's saying, not being able to vision it, but I think that there must be plenty of room to park on the side there. Is that a line of trees, Adam?
Well, I'm trying, this is terrible. I'm pointing at my screen, but this is the stop sign, I believe. And it is
No,
in this picture, at least, that was sent out.
Oh, you know what? I bet I was looking at the street sign. I'm very sorry.
Yep.
See where the street sign
so-
is down there? That's what I was looking at.
Yep.
But
So
where your
really-
finger is that a row of trees there behind the camper on the other side of the camper? Can
Over there?
those guys see it?
It rectangles the property almost into two separate lots. The trees.
So
make-
you could very easily could back off Durkee into that area there where Dan's talking about with no problem backing your camper in there.
There's quite a large transition between the street and the property, but that would have to be addressed somehow, but.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
Well, I do want to be careful. I mean, if we are proposing that they park in the yard, are we then? I don't want to get into a case where we start approving second driveways and stuff like that. Would that be required to get the camper back and forth between there?
I'm not saying anything about a second driveway. I'm just saying if they wanted to, and if it's physically possible to drive across the yard and park it in that back portion along that 67.62 foot section of their property that goes back towards 281. From the way the code, the law reads here, that seems like it's an option that's available to them and for us to consider.
Yeah, I would agree. I that is an option that I think it still requires a variance that we would have to grant.
Yeah, oh yeah, but it is an option.
I mean, could you tow that thing back there with just kind of over the yard? Does it happen so
With
infrequently?
the
that
row
that
of
would be
trees
okay?
that's there, no, but if I was to back in off the street, it's probably an 8 to 10 inch pretty sharp drop off that's even difficult to mow, but it would have to be some sort of,
Graded or.
yeah, I would have to grade it or something to
doable.
make it an easy transition. But I don't know if it's on us to do it, or since it's from the sidewalk to the street, if it's the village that would have, I don't know how that would work, but
That wouldn't be the village.
Okay. I'm not sure.
That's all right.
So,
Sure.
What would we like to do?
Jim,
Yes.
do not forget your balancing test. Good music.
Yeah. I am still working. I am the clock. can you do that for us, please? I don't,
Yes, I will. This is the,
Joan, I don't mean to interrupt you, but they haven't really made a decision on where they're going to put or require the actual RV to be. So I think they should define that first before they grant a variance, because.
they're not, this is the balancing test.
Right, but until they actually pick a location where they're gonna make the requirements, there's nothing to balance.
What?
Right.
They're gonna grant a bulk variance to allow the RV to be placed where?
I've never heard of that in 20 years of being a secretary. This is what determines whether they, well, what their decision is, right?
Right, but they don't have the subject matter of the decision yet, I don't think, unless where they defined it as that area. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you guys define an area where they're gonna allow the RV to be placed yet?
No,
Would it help if I made a motion and then we have a topic to address?
Yeah, exactly. That would be great.
That,
What this says is no area variance will be granted without a consideration by the board of these factors.
right, but we can consider them, but we're talking about where is that area? So let's define where that area is so we know how to answer those questions.
That's all I was trying to get at, is until the area is defined, what is the variance granting, you know?
Right.
I
So
guess I better go back to school.
that it is acceptable to this board, or that we give permission, or whatever the appropriate.
Then you do it your way, go ahead.
I don't see that it's even needed, but let's do it, that it, they have our permission to plant the camper in that L-shaped portion, the 67.62 by 99.79
Are
area
you making a motion?
of their land. Yes, that is the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were doing that. So go ahead and give it to me again, Pat.
That the ZBA approves the parking of the camper in the L-shaped portion of the property, which is bounded by the 67.62
Just a minute.
line by the 99.79 line at the property that borders Buckley and Jackson properties.
Can you write that fast? I've got bounded by.
The Buckley property and the Jackson property as shown on the survey that was given to the ZBA dated
Just
3/20.
a minute. The Baldwin property
Buckley and Jackson.
and Jackson property. Go ahead.
Well, it's Buckley and Jackson as shown on the survey dated 3/26/15. And Parker. Oh, Parker, yes, thank you, Parker.
3/26/15.
Is the date of the
Survey.
we have before us, yes,
Okay, that's it.
yes.
All right, then I got it.
Thank you.
any more discussion on, there's a second on the motion?
yeah, I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye,
Adam?
Wait, don't we have to do our balancing test
yeah,
now? Before we vote?
No, we're just voting on the motion, Adam.
So we're not granting a variance, this is a motion to consider this?
no, the motion is to permit them to park it here. But if there isn't a variance required,
But yeah, I thought so.
No, I would disagree. I think there is a variance required.
or,
Well, my vote's no, so just let me know what you. I'm not in favor of that motion. So what's it's either yay or nay, Adam.
Are we, I'm not clear on what I'm voting on. Am I voting on granting a variance?
Yeah, that's what it says. Approves the parking of the camper.
So depending on where you guys are putting the camper or allowing the camper, a variance may or may not be requested because the code has a very specific prohibition on where a camper can be. It can't extend beyond the front yard and it can't extend beyond the setbacks. So depending on where it is, maybe a motion is required. Maybe it's allowed by the code. So that's why I wanted you to define where you were proposing the camper be before you needed or not needed.
Well, maybe instead of the word approves, you should use the word consideration.
This motion is for the camper to be parked in an area of that property that does not require a variance. This area that was defined, as we said.
Oh, it does not require a variance?
No, it is just that they have permission to park their camper back there. It's not a side lot anymore.
Kevin just said, any corner lot is.
That's here and here against the street.
It's the whole lot, though. There's no side yard on there's only a side yard on a corner lot, is what Kevin said. Isn't that right, Kevin?
That's correct.
Do you have the map in front of you with the L, the reversed L?
Kevin, does it matter the shape of the lot?
If it's a corner lot, you have 2 front yards and 2 side yards.
It doesn't matter
In
if it's
fact,
L-shaped or rectangle or a square. Is that right?
correct, because if it's L-shaped, still one of those boundary lines is a side yard line.
Well, the house is forward of that 67.62 boundary, so I would disagree with that.
Still,
So-
We have a motion and a second on the floor. And you-
Right. So far I got 2 yeses and I'm a no. We're waiting for Adam's vote.
So unclear. I'm gonna vote no too. I'm not gonna approve this right now.
I guess I don't know what we're doing in case of a tie. Does that mean it's defeated?
Yeah, you need a majority approval, so.
Right. I'm gonna go on the limb here and say again, I'd like to postpone this one too, so we can get more information on this and more information on if they do need a variance to go back there and how they're gonna get the camper back there. Because I can see this being a headache if one goes after the village to make sure that they can do it because we said they can do it, or if it's the variant, I don't know what we were looking for, but the ordinance comes down to homeowners to make sure they can get the camper back there. I feel if we say they can put the camper back there, then they're gonna come, they can have the right to probably come after us and say, well, you guys need to fix this corner of the lot so I can get the camper on my lawn.
Well, even that it would snowball into a second driveway or something. I think the way that the code is written, it says in the event that an individual is unable to meet the requirements above, he or she must apply to the zoning board of appeals for permission to store said vehicle in the side yard of the premise. So
I agree. And
where
they
we're
would
talking,
like to park in the driveway, not on the side yard. So they need to apply for a variance stating that they're gonna park it in that certain area.
There we go.
Saying, Adam?
yeah, I
Yep.
think that
I
that
agree.
is the side yard and there may be room to do it. But I just don't know the logistics of getting a camper back there and what that would entail. So
Okay.
It's not our problem, though.
I mean, if it's going to be requiring a second driveway and stuff, I think that's a bigger ask than just that it fits there. I mean, honestly, I think it's just a case of that this camper is just too big for the village. I mean, I apologize and I wish that it could be more accommodating, but the village zoning is fairly clear about these rules. There are provisions to kind of get around it, but I don't know that it would apply very well here. Maybe if there was a clearer path of how it could fit back there and what that would look like, that might be something to consider, but I don't think I'm ready to approve something that doesn't sound like there's a clear path to get the camper back where it would meet the code. or meet.
I think that if we table it for 30 days and let them come up with a plan to show how they can park it in that area that meets all the requirements for the village, then we can vote on that. But until that's determined exactly where that area is on their yard that they can legally park that, we can't vote on it.
Yeah, I mean, I am leaning towards, this is a difficult situation and, but certainly that there could be something to talk about at that point, but right now with blindly no driveway and no way to get it back there, I can't vote to grant a variance to that much unknown, I would say.
Joan, are we still looking for the correct word to postpone this till we can get all the information together instead of canceling it?
You can make any motion you'd like to.
So Dan, were you making a motion that we table this for 30 days?
Yeah,
So we
I'll
get all
table this for 30 days for the applicant to come up with a clear plan as to where they can park it on that side lawn.
Should be postponed
Postponed, sorry.
for 30 days
Yes,
to obtain more information.
regarding the legal area to park on that portion of the yard.
Hey, can I ask a dumb question? Should we say 30 days or to the next scheduled ZBA board meeting?
That should be better,
Because it might not fall in a 30-day period.
right?
Okay.
Just going by past history of the fire department stuff.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Dan?
Yes,
Do I got a second on the motion?
Second,
Adam seconded it. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
I,
aye.
Aye. All in favor. So we'll hopefully see you in next scheduled board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Now I'm sitting in the dark here. Looks like was our last board meeting October 28th?
Yes,
Yeah,
Do we have a motion to accept the ZBA minutes?
Who all was there? We can vote on this. We had,
Adam, are you making the motion to approve?
I'm just looking at the notes, so just to make sure who was
Okay.
here.
I believe we were all here except for Noel.
According to Dante, you don't have to be there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Tanya was able to look up, I think it was the Roberts Rules of Order about meeting quorums and approving minutes, and synopsis, as long as the body is a continuing body, which the zoning board of appeals obviously is, as long as the members there have a quorum, they're allowed to approve the meetings from past minutes. I think she sent that around. That was like a couple years ago, though.
I think, yeah, it came up again recently when someone came off of the board and we didn't have enough people presently on the board. Okay, but anyways, I make a motion to accept the October 28th ZBA meeting minutes as written.
I got a second?
motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded that?
Dan.
Dan?
And it-
Need a motion. There's nothing else to discuss. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Adam. I got a second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Dan. Any discussion? All in favor?